all you want is an apology. You've come to peace with the fact that your doctor caused you significant harm and injury. And all you want is a simple apology for him to come to your room and say, Mrs. Jones, I'm so sorry for what happened. This never should have happened. I'm really sorry. And if he does that, you in your mind decide, you know what? I'm not going to bring a lawsuit if he comes in to apologize. What is the likelihood that a doctor in New York is going to come into you following your procedure, following your surgery, and actually apologize? You want to know the answer? Come join me for a walk along the beach as I share with you the answer to that question. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. I've been doing this now for 30 plus years, and I can count only one instance in more than 30 years where I've seen that happen. Can you imagine that? I've seen many, many valid cases, but yet in only one, I have seen a doctor actually apologize to the patient, and in written apology, no less. What is the likelihood that your doctor is going to come into you in your hospital room with you hooked up to all these different tubes and machines and actually going to sit down and say, Mrs. Jones, I'm so sorry that you're in this condition now. This never should have happened. I apologize. It is highly unlikely for that to ever occur. Why is that? For the key reason that doctors are told that if they go ahead and apologize to the patient, and now the patient sues them for liability, for medical malpractice, that information, that apology, is going to be evidence of liability, evidence of wrongdoing, some evidence that they were careless. The hospital or the medical groups that they practice with don't want to put the doctors in that position. Their insurance companies don't want the doctors to go ahead and do that. Why? Because some would say it increases litigation. I, as a plaintiff's attorney, the attorney who represents the injured patient, would argue just the opposite. It decreases the amount of litigation because all this patient wants is an understanding. They want the doctor to be straight with them and to apologize for something that never should have happened. And yes, if there is wrongdoing, if the doctor was in fact careless, it now provides an opportunity to try and resolve the case before ever starting litigation. And if litigation has been started and the doctor apologizes, well, guess what? It now provides an entree, a reason to try and resolve this case sooner rather than later. Because you know what? Maybe the doctor was careless. Maybe he did something that caused this patient's injury. Maybe if he had done something differently within the standard of care, this would not have happened. And so you know what? The patient should be entitled to receive compensation for all of the harms and losses and damages that she incurred because of this doctor's carelessness. And the sooner we all recognize that, the sooner we can resolve this case. So for the defense to turn around, or for the defense's insurance company or the doctor or anybody else associated with the doctor and say, listen, we are concerned that a doctor apologizing is going to increase our litigation costs. It's going to increase litigation. It's going to increase the amount of money we have to hand out, that we have to give to an injured patient because of this doctor's carelessness. I say that's absolute nonsense. So instead, what happens? The doctor will never go in and apologize to the patient that what they did was wrong. They will never apologize and say, hey, I screwed up, I'm so sorry, let's see if we can try and resolve your matter now before ever having to go to an attorney, before ever having to go to litigation. That just doesn't happen. There are some states within the United States that actually have a program. It's basically an apology program that says, listen, if a doctor actually apologizes for something that happened that they were wrong about, guess what? You cannot use that information if the case goes to litigation and if the case goes to trial. Some states have that, but New York does not. So doctors are concerned and doctors are afraid to go ahead and actually admit and open up to the patient for fear of being sued. If the doctor doesn't admit this and doesn't accept responsibility and doesn't apologize, the patient in all likelihood is going to sue them. Why? Because they have no other recourse. If the doctor fails to take responsibility for his actions, who's going to pay for all the time that they're out of work? Who's going to care for their kids? Who's going to put food on your table? What's going to happen in the future when they are no longer able to work because of these injuries or are limited from working on a full-time permanent basis? Now, the doctor's not going to raise his hand and say, okay, I accept responsibility for all that. Just let me know how much you want and I'll cut a check for you. No, that's not how it works. So what happens next? What happens next is that now the patient thinks about it. They're so upset, they're so concerned that the doctor wouldn't even come in and acknowledge that what they did was wrong or careless. And now they start to stew about it and perseverate about it. And now that becomes their entire being. And now everybody they talk to, from family members to friends, that's all this person can talk about. If only the doctor had come in to apologize. Now I'm stuck here in this wheelchair. I'm stuck needing all this medical care and treatment. And why? Because of the doctor's carelessness. If he had only apologized, I wouldn't even consider bringing a lawsuit. But he didn't. So now his arrogance is going to cause me and force me to do something I really didn't want to do to begin with. And now you're stuck in a litigation cycle. So let's get back to the question I raised in the title of this video. What is the likelihood that the doctor is going to come into the patient, sit down and apologize and take responsibility for what actually occurred? The likelihood is it's not going to happen. So why do I share this quick information with you? I share it with you to open up your eyes to what really happens in these medical malpractice cases, these accident cases, and even these wrongful death cases in New York. You know, I recognize while the dog is barking and watching something out on the beach here, that you likely have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if this matter did happen in New York and you have not yet started a lawsuit and are thinking of doing so but still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day and I'd love to chat with you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.